Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my profile, and here is my media feed. Here is my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise earlier this week, so you can create you an account on millions.co, go up under the key, and you can buy my merchandise. And we also have a brand new logo, so any piece of clothing that you get from my merchandise store, you will see this logo on the clothing. So this is going to be a quick segment because from what we saw last night, all the games were blowouts. But I'm going to start off in the dirty South in Atlanta. And I know if you are an Atlanta fan, you may want to turn your head. May want to turn your head and not even tune in today. Because the score of this game after the first quarter was just downright awful. It was 40-15. At halftime, it was 77-27, a 50-point lead. So what we are looking at as far as the score, as far as when it comes to that score like that, I'm gonna go back to the previous games. Now, remember the previous games after when it comes to game 4. See, New York, they won a close game in game 4. It was by 16 points. Then game 3, it was 1 point. But now all of a sudden, after those first 3 games, it looked like it was real competitive. But the last 3, it was pretty much blowouts. Now, the Knicks, they had a lead in game 4. They ended up expanding on that lead. That's why the Knicks won by 16. Then you get to game 5. They won by 29. And last night, they won by 51. Now, for the Atlanta Hawks, when it come to the statistics for the Atlanta Hawks, it was just downright awful. Just downright awful. And one thing about it is, when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks, we already know that they were going to be a team that wasn't going to be able to make the playoffs, let alone, they made the play-in tournament. And now we have to start assessing the Atlanta Hawks for basically a playoff contender and possibly going deeper into the playoffs next season. But the Hawks, they have got to get better as a team as far as having more and more defenders on the floor. And when you look at these statistics, the New York Knicks, in the first half, New York Knicks made 3 times as many shots as the Hawks did. For when it comes to the entirety of the game, the New York Knicks made twice as many shots as the Hawks did. But what's so funny about it is once the New York Knicks were up by 50, it seemed like the Hawks they started fighting and they started showing a little bit of fight, but their lead was just way too much. The largest lead of this game was 61 for the Knicks, and the largest lead for the Hawks was 4, and that was when they were leading 9-5 after the first 3 minutes of the first quarter. So, New York Knicks, let's look at the playoff bracket, updated playoff bracket coming in from last night. New York Knicks are waiting on the winner of the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. That series will conclude tomorrow night in Game 7. So, New York Knicks, you did what you were supposed to do with the Atlanta Hawks. Let's see what you can do with the Boston Celtics or the Philadelphia 76ers. The next game I'm going to cover, which leads right into the next game I'm going to cover. The Boston Celtics and the 76ers coming into this series, I thought that the Celtics would win in 5 games, but obviously it is going to the limit. And one thing about the Celtics, I have been saying it for years. If they make the 3-point shots, they win. If they don't, they lose. Jason Tatum, 17 points. Sam Hauser, 5 points. Namas Quetta, 4 points. Derek White, 11 points. Jaylen Brown, 18 points. Then you see their bench production from the Celtics. You see Delano Banto 2, Nikola Vucevic 2, and then you have everybody else that really wasn't a factor in the game, and then you have Peyton Pritchard with his usual 12 to 15 points coming off the bench. Now, the Celtics, we all know that we put the Celtics up there as a team that's a championship contender because they are. The 76ers, they live to fight another day. Nobody expected the series to go to the limit. Paul George, 23 points. Joel Embiid, 19 points. Kelly Oubre Jr., 14 points. Tyrese Maxey, 30 points. VJ Edgecombe, 14 points. And then you have bench production now. 76ers won this game last night 6 points from their bench. Now that is terrible. That is terrible. That is uncomprehendable. You win a game and your bench only scored 6 points. It makes you wonder what were the Celtics doing, because the Celtics bench, they put up more points, but turnovers and missed 3-point shots. That is what hurt the Celtics, and that's what usually hurts the Celtics, because as you all can see, 12 of 41 from the 3-point line. Even though they made more threes than the 76ers, they still were behind the 8 ball. Free throws, 9 of 16, and the 76ers, they got to the free throw line more. Offensive rebounds, they were deadlocked. Defensive rebounds, +2 for the 76ers. Turnovers, 13 turnovers. More turnovers than the 76ers had. Fast break points, not many fast break points in this game. 16 to 14. Points in the paint, 42 to 40. Largest lead was 23 in this game. And the largest lead for the Celtics is 5. Now, I expect the Celtics to win Game 7 on their home floor, but I'm surprised that they need the home court advantage this early in the playoffs. Because, like I said, you can't judge a matchup by its cover. Like everybody says in life, you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't judge a matchup by its cover. But before the series started, we didn't expect Joel Embiid to come back. Well, he had a chance at coming back, and he came back in Game 4. Then we also wasn't expecting VJ Edgecombe to come out of his shell and become a third option for the 76ers, but now he has. And we expected the Celtics to handle business in the first 5 games. But obviously, but obviously we've all have surprises when it comes to the NBA playoffs, and this is in any sport. Any sport, where the underdog, they can get a couple games, they can start building momentum, building some energy, and building some belief that they can defeat this team. And I believe that is where the 76ers are. But Celtics, they got to come on. Game 7 is tomorrow night. Now the 76ers, they've already won twice in Boston. So it's a toss-up. But I still got the 76ers winning this series. And last night, here is a couple of clips from last night's game. Joel Embiid, he had a good game. He had 26 points. 26 points, and pretty much, as you can see, it was a blowout. Fourth quarter, I'm going right to the fourth quarter. Joel Embiid to a cutting. And when it comes to the Celtics tried to find their way back into it, but they never could. This is the closest that they got, 92-78. And it was pretty much good night, Irene, with the last 7 minutes. As you can see right there, Edge Combe for 3. Yeah, pretty much good night, Irene, back up to 20 with under 5 minutes left. And that was pretty much the game right there. And that's how you see 106-93. The next game that I'm going to cover, and this will be the final segment of the game. As you all can see right there, that was Alex Rodriguez, owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, they had a great showing last night. And they pretty much upset the Denver Nuggets because everybody was projecting the Denver Nuggets to win the series. And now we get to the recap of it. And a few highlights. So for the Denver Nuggets, Cameron Johnson, 27 points. Spencer Jones, 8 points. Nikola Jokic, 28 points. Jamal Murray, 12 points. Yeah, Jamal Murray, he didn't have a good night, and I'm pretty sure, I said, as I was looking at the game, I said, okay, the Nuggets, they are in trouble. Christian Braun, 3 points. Then you have bench production. Bench production didn't do much, but I'm going to get to the Denver Nuggets future outlook. For the Denver Nuggets, you still have Nikola Jokic and you still have Jamal Murray for about another, I'm going to say to be to the maximum is another 3 to 4 years. So, and I know for the Denver Nuggets, for Jokic and Murray, it's critical to keep the Nuggets in the playoffs every year so they can have a chance at winning a championship like they did back in 23. Now, see, it's already, June, next month, since today is May 1st, next month will mark 3 years since the Denver Nuggets won the championship. And it seemed like ever since the Denver Nuggets won the championship, they've been on a downward spiral. And it seemed like there's no upside coming back to their potential. But one thing I can say is that they got to get more. They got to get more bench production. They got to get players that can defend. Not just efficient scorers, but you got to get players that can also defend and keep a lead. Because last night, the Nuggets, they had a lead, but they ended up giving it right away. For the Timberwolves, now, we all know that Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo is out. But I got to give credit where credit is due. Jaden McDaniels, the defensive specialist that I always call him, he had a good game last night. He had 32 points on 13 of 25 shooting, and he was the leading scorer for everybody. Also, Terrence Shannon Jr., he had a huge contribution with 24 points. Nas Reed had 15 points. And pretty much the Minnesota Timberwolves, they monked up the game and made the game look ugly. And that is why the Minnesota Timberwolves are moving on to the next round. And as you all can see, they didn't shoot well from the three-point line last night, 7 of 29, 24%. And usually teams that shoot 24% from the three-point line, they usually lose. But the Nuggets, they had more turnovers than the Timberwolves. Also, when it comes to free throws, the Nuggets made more free throws, but obviously it was just all about defending for the Nuggets last night, and they didn't do a good job at that. You allowed over 60 points in the paint if you are the Denver Nuggets. To be exact, 64 points. You are not going to win a playoff game, let alone a regular season game in the NBA, if you allow your opponent to score over 60 points in a game in the paint. But all in all, I'm going to get back to the current playoff bracket because here is a lot of things that can happen. Now we have Monday night, we have the Timberwolves and the San Antonio Spurs. The Timberwolves and Spurs, they played 3 games this year, and 2 out of the 3 the Timberwolves won. But Victor Wembanyama, he didn't play in those 2 games that the Timberwolves won. So this is going to be the first game of this season. The first game of this series. It's going to be a fill-out game for the Timberwolves and the Spurs, but I got the Spurs winning that series. Now, as far as tonight, I'm going to go ahead and give y'all some previews for tonight's games. Tonight's NBA schedule is you have the Detroit Pistons versus the Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Toronto Raptors, Los Angeles Lakers versus Houston Rockets. Now, this is what I think is going to happen. I believe that the Detroit Pistons are going to win Game 6 on the road against Houston, and we are going to see a rewind of what happened in 2003 with the Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic. Cleveland Cavaliers and Toronto Raptors, I believe that the Toronto Raptors will hold serve at home, and the Raptors and Cavaliers will be having a Game 7 Sunday afternoon. For the Lakers and the Houston Rockets, I believe that this is going to go the exact same way as the Cavaliers-Raptors series, but I hope I'm wrong because the Lakers, they need a few days of rest. But only thing I can say is if the Lakers win tonight, Tuesday night, if the Lakers win tonight, they'll be playing Tuesday night versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, and if the Magic win tonight, they'll be facing either the Cavaliers or Raptors Tuesday night. For the New York Knicks, they'll be facing the winner of the Celtics and 76ers, I believe, let's say Saturday. So they're playing Saturday, Monday or Tuesday night. Because I know that the NBA, they not going to give teams, they're not going to give teams too many days off during the playoffs. You may have a day here off, and then you playing every other day or every 3 days. But like I said, it's not. It is no like significant time that you take off during the playoffs, because most of these series they come on every other day, or if it's, let's just say for instance, if it's not if they're not playing on Saturday, they'll be playing on Monday, and then Monday they'll be playing on Wednesday or Thursday. So not too many days, but all in all, the playoffs, they are about to get very, very entertaining. All three of the series that you are looking at right now, they have all gone to a game six. They are all in a game six right now, and you have just the Knicks, Timberwolves, Spurs, and Thunder waiting to play whoever they are going to play. So all in all, last night you had a couple of blowouts, and then you had a game with the Timberwolves and the Nuggets that was entertaining for a good little bit. But the Timberwolves started taking control, and that is how you see the current playoff bracket. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's playoff matchups. Now, please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on millions.co. Here is my profile. Here is my merchandise. Go on millions.co, create you an account, go up under the Key, and you can buy my merchandise from my merchandise store. Here is my media feed for all. You can see all of my clips, sound bites, and moments throughout my previous shows and other segments. And remember, everybody, one last thing, the Key is always on time.